Taoiseach, when the Land Development Agency was being set up in 2018, Gael repeatedly said that it would be a game changer. We were told 150,000 new homes would be built over 20 years and that sites had already been earmarked for 10,000 homes. It was reported at the time that the first of these homes would be delivered from 2020. Taoiseach, many of these accolades about the LDA came from you. You said the agency would be staffed by people with a proven track record in delivering homes, and it would hit the ground running. The praise didn't stop there. You said the LDA was one of the most significant ever state interventions in the housing market, as significant as the ESB, Aer Lingus or the IDA. Sadly, it wasn't to be. Fast forward to today, despite all of those lofty promises, the Land Development Agency has yet to deliver a single home on state land. We're told we have to wait until next year, 6 years after it was established, for that to happen. There's more bad news in the papers today. 5 years after its establishment, the Land Development Agency has finally gotten around to conducting a review of property assets controlled by state companies. What did it find? Fewer than 10,000 homes are capable of being delivered on these state lands within the next decade. It really is pathetic. I think people reading those reports today will be utterly bewildered, and if they're angry, I can understand that too. They should be outraged at this utter incompetence. How, in the middle of a housing disaster, when the government claims it's pulling out all the stops, has it taken the LDA 5 years to complete a review of the state's property assets? It's like some kind of a sick joke. Some of the sites, like the CIE bus depot on Cunningham Road, were being spoken about as prospects for imminent development back in 2018. Taoiseach, the abject failure of the LDA to live up to your promises is just the latest betrayal when it comes to housing. We were promised 150 homes in 20 years, and at the current rate of delivery, there isn't a hope of that target being met. So my questions are, do you think it was an accurate assessment back in 2018 to say that the LDA would be a game changer and that it would hit the ground running? Are you disappointed with the lack of delivery from the Land Development Agency? And do you need to revise your housing targets down given the bleak assessment from the LDA?
Thanks very much, Deputy. First of all, we are building public homes on public land. We built more public housing last year than any year since 1975, any year in your lifetime or mine, and we'll build more this year, I can guarantee you exactly that. And the LDA is building housing. 600 homes under construction now at the moment in Shangana, and I'll be travelling out to Wicklow on Thursday morning to open a new housing development, and you're welcome to come with me, Deputy, and I will show you those 600 houses under construction not too far from here in Dundee Rathdown, and those homes will be occupied by people next year. So LDA is building land. We can go to a site even closer than there, the Donora project, Trees' Gardens, where the LDA will be developing 500 homes. St Kevin's Hospital, for example, 265 homes to be built there. Planning approval only received last week for 817 homes in Balbriggan and a further 200 in Naas. I haven't checked yet whether any of your colleagues opposed those housing. I'm not sure. And Deputy, I read the LDA report, and I think it is a useful report and one to read, and it is a very honest report. What it shows, in addition to what's already being done, and it is in addition to what's already being done, about 66,000 more homes could be built on public land. But it's honest about the constraints, and I think we should be honest with people about the constraints. About 10,000 of those could be built in the next 5 to 10 years. The remainder will take longer, and that is just the reality of house building in Ireland. Take Cottle Barracks, for example. There are 600 people living there already. It's an army base. If we were to develop that for housing, we may well do, you'd have to move those people and move that base. Some of the sites are hospital sites. With the best will in the world, we all understand that it takes time to build a new hospital and then to commission it. In some cases, there's no power connection, there's no water connection, the land isn't zoned, there's no road connection. It's very easy to say that the state should just build 60,000 houses on public land and do it this year or next year. This report studies that in detail, 83 sites, site by site, showing what can be done in what time frame, and therefore it's very honest and realistic. Deputy, the LDA is our state land developer. It is our state house building company. Your party voted against the LDA bill. Would like to know whether you're still against it, whether you'd abolish it if you got into government. And I believe that in time it will be as significant as the ESB or the IDA in terms of transforming our country. So I think it will be a game changer in that regard. It has got off to a slow start. Quite frankly, that is disappointing. We thought more would have been done by now. But it is now getting things done. And we won't be revising that target. I'm sorry, actually, we will be revising that target in terms of the number of homes the LDA can build in the next 20 years. We'll be revising it upwards because the LDA had a slow start. It's now getting going. Happy to show it to you with your own eyes so you can see it on Thursday. And we'll be revising upwards the targets.
Deputy Kearns.
Taoiseach, you saying that they're under construction now, 5 years later, is just reinforcing the point that I was trying to make. It's 5 years later, so it's not exactly hitting the ground running. That literally just reinforces the point that I made. And you say that we all need to understand that it takes time. And yes, I do understand that. The point that I'm making is that Fine Gael have been in government for 14 years. So how much time do you want? And then in relation to your attacks, I think they've just become as predictable as they are weak. Every week firing it back at opposition, objecting to house builds. And I did a quick Google search earlier and found reports of Fine Gael TDs and councillors having objected to 12,000 homes across Dublin between 2019 and 2022. And these attacks on opposition just sound increasingly desperate. Your continued attempt to blame us for your failure isn't fooling anyone. You've been in government for 12 years and pretty much every commitment that you've made on housing has been broken. We have record homelessness, record house prices, record rents, and now your government are about to make a disaster even worse by ending a no-fault, I might add, eviction ban. We're just calling it an eviction ban. It's a no-fault one in the middle of a housing disaster, making thousands more people homeless. So, Taoiseach, your legacy in housing is one of repeated and abject failure. We all know it's not the opposition's fault. Do you think that people should have confidence in this government's ability to solve the housing disaster at this point?
Thank you. Taoiseach.
Thanks, Deputy. I've never argued that the housing crisis is the opposition's fault, and again, you're trying to put words into my mouth, and that's not honest politics, Deputy. I've always argued that the cause of the housing crisis is multifactorial, and I won't get into that dispute, that conversation today. But it's simply not the case. It's simply not the case that I blame the opposition for the housing crisis, and it's dishonest politics from the Social Democrats to try and put that across. And in the 11 years in which Fine Gael has been in office, we've built over 100,000 houses, by the way, and we're going to build a lot more over the coming years. And Deputy, I'm very happy to answer your questions, and I'm very happy to engage with you in robust debate, and I'm very happy to hear your criticisms. But Deputy, it's a little bit precious for you to say that nobody can say anything back to you. You know, how dare we question your claims? How dare we point out the progress that is being made? How dare we bring some balance to this debate? It's a bit precious. It's a bit precious to say that you shouldn't be subject to any criticism, that there should be no scrutiny, or that it's okay for you to shout us down when we bear to talk back to you.